Yeah, my name is Brock Gardner. Play basketball. Currently back at the Masters, and yeah, basketball's basically my whole life, and played ever since I was a little kid. So my parents told me I was born, had a basketball in my crib, so it's been something I've been doing ever since I can remember. But I would say around 5 or 6 in Little League, like YMCA League.
Oh yeah,
is when it all started. I just always wanted to have a basketball in my hand. I was always in the gym with my dad. Didn't matter where I was. I felt like I always had a basketball. So
okay.
I would say I've looked up to him my whole life, and a big part of that is just because back in the day he used to be a really good player, and I spent a lot of time in the gym with him. And he actually was played in college, had a really good career, and was trying to get on an NBA team. So he was playing summer league with the Portland Trailblazers. And then he ended up getting in a really bad car accident and can play again. But even still, even growing up, I still always look up to him, and he knows the game and has a lot of knowledge about it. So college, I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, and honestly, basketball is the only thing that I was like, that's absolutely what I want to do. And so that's kind of where my main focus has been. I'm from Arizona. I spent most of my life there. I've lived there the past 16 years. When I was younger, we moved around a little bit, but for the most part, Arizona is all I know.
Yeah.
Actually, high school impacted my just where I am today in a big way, just in the fact that I went to a very small high school. There's only about 100 students, and I was actually going to follow my sister and go to a big public school, and so I went to summer league there in my 9th grade year, and it didn't work out. But then the school that I ended up going to, a small Christian school, the coach was like, "Hey, we know you're 6'5", 6'6", coming in as a freshman, but we want to play you on the wing," which is what I wanted to play. And most schools were trying to put me in the post, which I knew wouldn't be good for my game. And so my high school coach, Coach Brown, and his brother were coaching there, and just from the get-go, they were training me at a spot that I knew I would have to be able to play in college or at the higher level. So that played a huge part in where I am today, and just the ability to play on the wing and handle the ball. High school is very helpful in that area.
Yeah.
So my first year on varsity was in 8th grade, so I played 5 years of varsity basketball.
That's great.
A little bit of drama on the team. There was 2 seniors in particular. One was a starter, and halfway through the season, my coach put me in as a starter, and we heard from one of the parents, like, "That's not fair. He's worked 4 years for this." So we had to deal with that a little bit, but overall the team was in good support, and I'm good friends with that guy now. So in high school, I played 2 years of club, and probably the most well-known one that I played with was Brandon Clark, who plays for the Memphis Grizzlies right now. And it was pretty interesting playing with him, just because sophomore year we were playing together, and I would honestly say I feel like I'm the better player. And then we came back junior year to the same club team, and his whole body transformed. He was jumping out of the gym, shooting the ball a lot better, and I was like, okay, this guy's crazy. And so he made it to the league, and he's living the life now.
That's great.
But yeah, then that was the only NBA player I've played on an actual team with, but I played against Terrence Ferguson, a couple other guys. But my routine overseas is actually kind of nice, just because you go lift weights in the morning, about 4 days a week you'll lift, and so you go from 10 to 11 you'll lift, and then you'll have a 2.5 hour practice at night, so say 5 to 7:30. But in between that, you kind of can do whatever you want. So I'd have breakfast before lift, and then after lift, I'd get lunch, and then usually take a nap or play Call of Duty, just dependent. And then I'd go to practice, and then I'd come back, watch a movie, or play Call of Duty, and then I'd go to sleep for around 11 o'clock. So that was, if it wasn't game day, that was usually the routine, and yeah, it was pretty chill. I was there, I came back early, so I was only there for half the season, but I was there for about 5 months. So from high school to college, I'd say the biggest difference was just time commitment. Because in high school, especially at a smaller high school, you're only in the gym for about 2 hours a day. And then we didn't have a weight room at a high school, but we had a little cubby you could work out in. So we would lift sometimes, but for the most part, it was 2 hours a day, and then come shoot on the weekends or whatever. But then when I so I first went to Liberty. It was almost 7 hours a day we'd be in the gym or lifting weights. So just going from 2 hours in high school to 7 hours every day that was a big adjustment. But you start to get the hang of it. You adjust pretty quickly. But it just kind of becomes your life, the higher level you go. And so that was another thing, going from college to pro. It was nice in one way because I didn't have to worry about school or turning assignments in along with working out and playing basketball. So when I got to pro, it was just being able to solely focus on basketball and just put a lot of time into the craft, and that helped a lot.
All right. So coming out of high school, what offers do you have? You mentioned Liberty, so you committed to Liberty, but tell me that process.
Yeah. So coming out, yeah, it was a pretty fun experience. I went on 2 visits before I committed, and my first visit was to Air Force. And well, I should first say before I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to go into aviation, try to be a pilot. So that's why I went and visited Air Force, and they checked all the boxes. I knew if I went there, my life would be taken care of, but at the time I wasn't big on committing to the military because they basically own you if you do that. So then that's why I took my second visit to Liberty, and they had aviation. So those were kind of the two schools I was going back and forth between, but I had 10 total offers to go D1 before I committed there, and a couple of those were Central Arkansas, Dartmouth, Columbia, UC Davis. There's a couple other ones. I knew about it a little bit. So Hansel, he also went to Liberty and transferred to Masters. And then, so that was kind of my connection. That when I knew I wanted to leave, I was like, all right, well, I know one player at Masters. That wouldn't be a bad option. But the big thing, I just didn't really want to sit out. So I wanted to change schools, but not sit out a year. So I talked to Hans a little bit, and then we had a good family friend that played. They had 2 kids here. One was playing golf, one was playing women's volleyball. And we just talked to them about it. And like, yeah, I think it'd be a great fit. And doors just kind of opened, and I talked to Coach Starr, and so doors opened up, and that's how I ended up here from Liberty. Yeah. So first 2 years we had, all 3 years we had a really good team, but my sophomore and junior year at Masters, I was kind of the 4th go-to guy because we had Tim, Hansel, Lawrence, DJ, so I was kind of just that role player that just did his job. And then my senior year is kind of Tim, Daryl, and I were kind of the 3 guys, and I was able to have a streak there. Had National Player of the Week. I had like 3 40-point games back to back, so that was probably the highlight of my college career. I actually met Tristan my first year here, sophomore year, and it was early on. It's kind of funny, at the time she was dating someone, but long distance. So we had a close friend group, and we just started hanging out. And then second semester, I had to swoop, work my way in there. But that's when we started dating officially, and it kind of just took off from there.
Yeah.
My wifey. So after I finished my 4th year at Masters, that summer I decided to get engaged, and then I went overseas to Portugal. So most of the time we were engaged, we were doing long distance. And we had like 2 months when I got back to where we can finish all the wedding planning and all that. And then we got married last summer, July 25th. And then she was able to come over to Austria with me for a little bit. And so far it's been really nice. It's been a lot of traveling, a lot of new experiences, and it's been cool to do all that together. So we thank the Lord for FaceTime, because that was like the only way I was able to interact with her. And it helped because she was still in school, so she still had a busy schedule. It's not like she could just think about the situation or worry about missing each other too much. So we were able to get through it. Had ups and downs, but for the most part, it wasn't too bad. I would say favorite game, especially from a team standpoint, was I think it was sophomore year. First year we beat Westmont in GSAC championship, so that was a big time game. One I'll always remember, just celebrating with the guys. That was a lot of fun. And I think from an individual standpoint would be College of Idaho my senior year. I had career high of 43 points, and just one of those nights where everything was going in. So that's probably individually my favorite career. The hardest part about being overseas was probably, well, first, you don't really have any friends. You're kind of just going over, and the two teams I've played on overseas, they've both had 5 imports, and they're 9 of the 10 that I played with of the imports have been American. So I was able to have build relationships that way, and I got pretty close with those guys. And then one of the other imports was from Greece, and he spoke good English, and I got pretty close with him too. But I think the hardest part was, in theory, it sounds nice. As I mentioned, I was just playing Call of Duty and going to practice, lifting weights. So it sounds nice in theory, but when you're stuck in your room all day, it can get kind of lonely and not the most exciting of times. So I think that'd probably be the most challenging. And I was kind of nervous about the language barrier. But again, you're there to play basketball, and everyone on the basketball team can speak English and you can have conversations with. So I'd say it wasn't as tough as I was expecting it to be. But the coaches that I had growing up were, they came at it from just wanting, like from a Christian perspective, trying to mentor you as well as learn the game of basketball more. So I never really had that harsh, get on the line, just coaches ripping into you constantly. And then especially in Austria, I go overseas and it's just a whole different dynamic where he still is trying to mentor you and wants the best out of you, but he doesn't have the Christian background. And so it's a lot more yelling, a lot more intense, a lot more language. Getting cut, I think there was one practice. I didn't even know what I was doing wrong. I obviously was, but I got cussed at probably 20, 25 times in one practice. So that was a big adjustment. But you kind of get used to it, and they really do want the best out of you. It's just from a different perspective. So I came back early from Austria, as I said before, and the goal was, I haven't finished my undergrad yet, so I came back playing volleyball now and finishing up my undergrad, and then hopefully in the summer, just with how things are overseas and in Europe, I'm probably going to try out for a G League team and just continue my basketball career that way. And then Tristan, my wife, she's going to be trying to start nursing school, and so that's kind of be try to stay stateside. We might have to do long distance a little bit, but that's kind of the tentative plan for right now. I'd say just do your research. As I said, I'm on the volleyball team. A lot of the basketball guys know me, but they'll all tell you I'm the biggest goofball, so don't be scared to come up to me. I'm pretty chill, laid back, try to just have fun, go with the flow. So yeah, don't be scared.